Welcome to a time when the world was a vastly different place. A green, humid landscape dominated by towering trees and sprawling swamps. But if you're afraid of insects, this is where your worst nightmares come to life. We're diving into the Carboniferous period, over 300 million years ago. A time when Earth's atmosphere was rich with oxygen, and that excess led to one terrifying consequence: giant insects. Picture dragonflies the size of modern-day seagulls, millipedes as long as a car, and swarms of monstrous cockroach-like creatures creeping through the ancient forests. The Carboniferous was an age before dinosaurs, but it was just as dangerous, especially if you're an entomophobe. Massive insects ruled the air, land, and waterways, and they were unlike anything you'd want crawling out of your nightmares. But we're not scared, right? So let the nightmares begin. The Carboniferous period, which spanned from about 359 to 299 million years ago, was a pivotal time in Earth's history, marked by dramatic changes in climate, atmosphere, and life forms. Named for the vast coal deposits that formed during this era, the Carboniferous saw the development of dense, swampy forests filled with towering plants like ferns, club mosses, and giant horsetails. These lush environments laid the foundation for the coal we use today. The Carboniferous was also an age of giants. Not just plants, but massive arthropods and amphibians, thanks to several key factors in Earth's atmosphere and environment. One of the most critical factors was the exceptionally high concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere. Oxygen levels during the Carboniferous were much higher than today, reaching around 35% compared to our current 21%. Insects breathe through tiny openings in their exoskeletons called spiracles, and their ability to grow is limited by how efficiently they can get oxygen into their bodies. With more oxygen available, their respiratory systems could support larger body sizes, enabling them to grow to proportions that would be impossible in today's atmosphere, thankfully. This paired with the fact that during the early Carboniferous, there were few large terrestrial predators. Vertebrates, like amphibians and early reptiles, including the dinosaurs, had not yet fully taken over land ecosystems. Without the threat of being eaten by more agile or faster creatures, insects could grow bigger and dominate both the skies and the forest floors. The planet was also covered in vast, dense forests of primitive plants like giant ferns, horsetails, and club mosses. These swampy, humid environments provided ideal conditions for arthropods. The abundance of plant matter provided plenty of food, while the waterlogged areas offered shelter from climate extremes. Together, these factors made the Carboniferous a paradise for massive insects, creating some of the largest arthropods the world has ever seen. Let's take a look at what you'd come face to face with if you were plonked into the Carboniferous forests over 300 million years ago. The first thing you might notice if you were walking through the forests of these times was an incredibly loud buzzing around your ears and above your head. This would be thanks to Meganeura. Meganeura was a giant prehistoric dragonfly with a wingspan reaching up to 70 centimeters or over 2 feet, making it one of the largest flying insects ever known. While today's dragonflies are already swift and agile predators, Meganeura was a supersized version, making it particularly terrifying to behold. Its wings were long, veined, and membranous, which gave rise to its name meaning long-nerved. This allowed it to fly quickly and maneuver through the dense forests and swampy landscapes of the Carboniferous. With such large wings, it could glide easily and make rapid adjustments in flight, perfect for catching prey. Its sturdy exoskeleton provided protection and structural support for its large body, but it would likely have made Meganeura look intimidating, with sharp, spiny legs and a predatory face. Quite unnecessary for an already terrifying 2-foot insect. These spikes on its legs would have acted like in-air fly traps, allowing it to grab other organisms with its tibia and tarsi sections. Thanks to this, Meganeura was a fearsome aerial predator, much like modern dragonflies such as hawkers, but on a larger scale. It preyed on small amphibians, other insects, and possibly even juvenile vertebrates. It would hover in wait until it spotted its prey with its keen, compound eyes. The eyes were enlarged in comparison to the size of its body, allowing it to spot fast-moving prey in the dense environment. It could then use its 70 centimeters wings to fly with great agility and speed, grappling its prey with its spined legs and pincered jaws. Its prey choice helped to regulate populations of smaller insects and amphibians, maintaining a balance in its ecosystem. Its presence at the top of the food chain meant it had few predators, allowing it to grow to such impressive sizes. Although it was the size of a modern seagull, Meganeura would not have been a direct threat to a human. But boy, would it have been unsettling to have zipping around your neck and over your head. However, you'd also have to keep an eye on your feet at the same time. Down below on the forest floor were other terrifying creatures, including the largest known land invertebrate to ever exist, Arthropleura. Its body was segmented and covered in a tough exoskeleton, much like today's millipedes and centipedes, but on a much larger scale. Fossils of the shed exoskeleton from an Arthropleura measured in at 55 centimeters or 22 inches wide, 2.6 meters or 8.8 feet long, with a mass of 50 kilograms or 110 pounds. This was again thanks to the rich oxygen environment and lack of large terrestrial vertebrate predators. It had dozens of jointed legs, up to 30 pairs, allowing it to move swiftly through its swampy, forested environment. It likely lived a forest-independent life, though, as tracks have been found in more open areas, and some fossils have been discovered after the Carboniferous rainforest collapse that occurred 305 million years ago. Careful observation of fossils determined the likeliest behaviors of this giant centipede-like creature, suggesting it would invade exposed areas when possible and retreat to levee forests during wet seasons to avoid the harsh climatic events of that time. Some scientists believe Arthropleura might have been capable of quick movements to avoid predators like early amphibians, but its colossal form alone would have deterred many potential threats. Its flat, elongated body was well adapted for crawling through dense underbrush, with its strong, ribbed exoskeleton providing protection against environmental hazard. There isn't much evidence of the diet of Arthropleura, as what were once thought to be coprolite samples of the insect's fecal matter found next to a carcass actually turned about to just be coexisting plant fossils with the molt of one of these creatures. However, it is still widely accepted that Arthropleura fed on decaying plant material from the enormous ferns and other ancient vegetation of the Carboniferous forests. Despite its non-threatening diet, its sheer size and imposing appearance make it an unsettling creature to envision. But if centipedes don't really bother you, how about something with a bit more sting? Something that the Arthropleura may have actually had to battle with itself. Before we continue, please let me know if you're enjoying this video by hitting the like button and leave a comment if there's anything you particularly enjoy, or if there's something you'd like to see changed in future videos. And finally, I'd love to have you join us for future adventures, to please consider subscribing to join our community. Now for the next organism. While being a quarter of the size of Arthropleura, measuring in at 75 centimeters or 2.5 feet, a scorpion of this size is still a terrifying sight. Meet Pulmonoscorpius. Like modern scorpions, it had a segmented body divided into two main parts: the cephalothorax and the abdomen, covered in a hard exoskeleton that provided protection from physical damage and helped it retain moisture in a humid environment. It also had gill-like structures called book lungs that gave it a rudimentary respiratory system, hence the beginning of its name, plumo, meaning lung. The Pulmonoscorpius possessed two pairs of eyes on the cephalothorax, the head and leg sections. It had a pair of smaller median eyes near the center and larger compound eyes positioned laterally on the outside, which were much larger than those seen in modern scorpions. It would use these to spot prey, approach them, and grab them with its large pincers called pedipalps, which would then feed into smaller mouth pincers called chelicerae. Quite the terrifying thought, when this thing is almost half the size of a human. On the other end, it had the iconic venom-bearing stinger on the end of a large tail. Although we don't know exactly what Pulmonoscorpius ate, it likely would have eaten smaller invertebrates and possibly primitive tetrapods, using the venom in its tail to kill its prey. This is inferred by the fact that it had small pincers and a thick tail, which, as a rule of thumb, based on modern scorpions, means that it relied more heavily on using its tail than its pincers to kill, suggesting a potent venom. It likely hunted by ambushing its prey and then stinging them, stalking them until it died. Assuming it feeds like modern scorpions, it would then insert digestive fluids into the incapacitated prey and then suck the liquid from the inside. With the land and skies dominated by these monstrous creepy crawlies, surely we could seek some refuge in the water of this period. There might be some scary fish, but no car-sized insects, right? Wrong. Giant scorpions didn't only roam around the land, but they also populated the lakes, rivers, and estuaries of the Carboniferous era. Eucalyptus is an extinct genus of giant sea scorpions, or eurypterids, and is one of the largest arthropods ever discovered. Some specimens are estimated to have grown up to 2.5 meters, or over 8 feet long, much larger than the terrestrial kinds. Its most striking features were its two large, scythe-like pincers at the front of its body, which were used to catch prey. Its powerful claws suggest it was a formidable predator, capable of grabbing, crushing, or tearing apart smaller animals as they measure in at 46 centimeters or 18 inches long. The pincers and eyes were similar to the Plumbonoscorpius. Eucalyptus occupied a niche in these waterways as an apex predator, preying on fish and smaller aquatic arthropods. It probably ambushed prey by hiding in the muddy bottoms of rivers or estuaries, striking with its massive claws to immobilize its victims. Fossils of a fish called Lecreaspis patula from modern-day Utah had puncture wounds on them that were attributed to Eucalyptus. Some evidence suggests eurypterids like Eucalyptus could have crawled onto land for brief periods, possibly to molt or lay eggs, adding another eerie dimension to their predatory behavior. Where they differ from the terrestrial scorpions is the tail. This sea scorpion has traded in its stinger for a broad, flat tail and paddle-like limbs, making it highly agile with high maneuverability. The hydromechanics of the swimming paddles and telsons, basically insect tails, suggest they were capable of hovering, forward locomotion and quick turns, though they were not necessarily rapidly swimming animals. Regardless, such agility is very impressive for an animal the size of a car. This only leaves the oceans, and while this particular setting certainly did contain some creepy arthropods, they probably wouldn't be the worst of your worries. The Carboniferous is known as the golden age of sharks after all, but that's for another video. With Meganeura buzzing above you, Arthropleura and Plumbonoscorpius marching around in varying sizes, and Eucalyptus, the size of a car, lurking in the waterways, you wouldn't want to have entomophobia and be stuck in this era. And if you didn't have a fear of insects going into it, you would very shortly. But for now, thanks a lot for watching. Please hit like to let me know you've enjoyed this video, and subscribe to join us on more dives into the prehistoric past.